You've got questions, we've got answers. Welcome to the Therapist Question Box, where trauma-trained therapists tackle real questions from real people. I'm your host, Lindsay bringing you grounded insights you can actually use, brought to you by Therapy Utah. Another episode of the Therapist Question Box. We are here to answer your mental health questions, be it relational, individual, or anything else. We want to be here to be a resource to you. Today I have with me Kelly King. Kelly, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
I am glad to have you. It's always fun to have you as a guest. I always learn from you and appreciate your insights. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself for those listeners who don't know you?
Okay. I'm a therapist here at Therapy Utah. I love doing individual and family therapy. I also do group work, and it's one of the highlights of what I do. I really feel like being a group facilitator helps me be a better individual therapist. And then I bring some of the stuff I do in individual therapy into group. And just really have seen it is such a benefit for so many individuals to experience group therapy. And I don't know if everyone knows that.
Okay. I think they don't. I think group therapy can feel a little scary sometimes. So we're going to talk about why, right?
Okay.
And we'll go into the question, which is, how can group therapy help me? So let's dive into that first question. How can it help? How can it help a person?
Right. So I would start with, for anyone dealing with shame, and that's most of us have some, issues with shame or feelings of not being good enough. Group work can address shame so much faster than individual therapy. There is a ton of research behind that. That's not just me saying something that sounds good. But we heal in group. We heal in relationship. We heal when we think we're alone and somehow our problems or challenges are unique. And we get in a setting and there's this feeling of, oh, wow, you too. I'm not alone. I'm not weird. And in that moment, that can reduce shame so much faster than anything a therapist could say to you or any book that you could read. It's like a felt experience where your nervous system relaxes and has community and feels less shameful.
That, like you just said it. I'm like, mic drop right there, because that's it. That's why people go, right? Is, okay, I'm not alone in this. I think normalizing our lived experience is so big. It's so huge to feel like I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. I'm normal. People experience this. As you're saying that, I'm thinking of my own therapist years ago. After I'd had a baby, it was 12 years ago. And I was explaining to him some of my postpartum feelings and anxiety. I would get postpartum anxiety and had these feelings. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe my brain's going there. And I would say to him, is that crazy? And he would go, you sound really normal. You sound like a tired, overwhelmed new mom. And honestly, just that normalizing of like, you're not crazy. You're okay. Everything's okay. That's a normal response. I would imagine that's what group therapy does is, yep, we've been through this. We're all working through this. This is hard. And we got your back because other people are experiencing it too.
Yes, absolutely. And that's something we talk about a lot in the groups that I run, right? How do we meet? That's the word I'll use. Meet our fellow group members. It's not caretaking. It's not fixing. We're not offering opinions and saying, here's how you do it better. We just want to meet them. We just want to hold their space with them, be there with them, say, I have felt how you felt. It makes sense to me what you're going through. I'm here with you.
So in group therapy, are the group members really talking to each other? I mean, are they saying those things?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And at first, maybe we coach them and say, here's how to meet somebody in group. But then it's just natural as human beings, right? That comes up naturally when there's enough safety in a group, right? When you start to build a community or some relationships, you naturally can kind of attune to these other group members. And it's this beautiful give and receive back and forth that happens that I don't know that happens anywhere outside of a place like that.
Because there's a shared vulnerability that's pretty unique.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say the people that I know that have done group therapy have some very close relationships outside of therapy because they've shared experiences that are really tender and can often be very vulnerable that they don't share with everybody. But when there is that safety in a relationship too, I think it does something different.
It totally does. And I like to sometimes explain that group therapy is like doing life with a coach and with endless do-overs. So you're actually practicing in real time how to handle relationships, how to apologize, how to pause and check in with yourself and reference your own wisdom. And then you have a coach there who can say, you're doing great. What if you tried this?
I love that. You're doing great. What if we tried this? That's what we all need, right?
Yes.
You're doing great, but here's an idea.
Yeah.
Right. So let's go back to what is the group? Like we're talking about a group. What kind of groups can people expect to have? Like what groups are available?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different kinds of groups. I know here at Therapy Utah, we have a betrayal trauma group that's specific for women who've had partners struggling with some kind of sexual compulsion or infidelity. We have men's groups. We have several men's groups. We have a lot of different groups. Occasionally, we'll do like groups for children or adolescents. So there are probably endless types of groups out there.
And if I'm interested in joining a group, then it's like, do I have to wait? How does it work, at least here at Therapy Utah?
At Therapy Utah, we run open groups. So there's ongoing joining.
Okay.
So there's not like a contract or you may have to wait until like the beginning of the month or something like that. But usually we have openings right away. So I would say talk to your individual therapist or reach out to the front desk and find out what groups are available and how you can join.
Okay. That's good to know. Because I'm thinking as we're starting this conversation, if people are interested and are saying, what does this even look like? When can I join? I think that information is really helpful. So when would I know it's a good time to go to group therapy versus individual?
So what I would say to that is if you're tired of healing by yourself or in isolation, it's time for group. Or if you have struggled in relationships or feel a really strong sense of being lonely or maybe wanting to have a bigger community, group is a great place to have that happen.
And why is that?
Because you're going to be with other people who are serious about their mental health, who are willing to be vulnerable, they're teachable, they're there to learn. I mean, everybody knows what group is, or you know at least an idea of what group therapy is if you're, wanting to be there. And so you're all coming in with that level of vulnerability.
Sure.
All my clients that are in group have talked to me about, oh my goodness, that first day, I was so scared. I wasn't going to say anything. I thought I was the weirdo. I didn't know what to expect. And then it just takes a very few weeks and they're like, it's the best decision I have ever made.
That's amazing. So, that leads me to this next question is really, it's scary. Group therapy can be scary, right? It's vulnerable. One-on-one therapy, it feels maybe there's a safety net. It's that one person knows my story. But gosh, if I have 10 people in a group and they all know my story, then that's kind of exposing. So what would you say to that?
I would say if that is you, then that means you are ready for group work because that is the work. The work of group work is, I don't want to go. I feel scared to go. I don't think anybody would accept me. What would other people think? How would I learn to speak up? What if I say it wrong? That is the work.
So that's it. When you feel nervous, buckle up and come.
Right, because there's no replacement for a new experience for your nervous system. Right? We can talk about it all day long. We can talk about how to make friends or what does your support group look like or how to have more connection. But that can't or isn't as powerful as experiencing what it feels like to have someone meet you in group, right? To build those relationships, to practice a little vulnerability in a structure of safety, right?
Yes.
We can't replace that. We can't talk about that. It's a felt thing.
Yes, that makes sense. Like you have to experience it yourself. You can't just talk about it,
Right.
but when you feel it, then you know what that change, right? So with the betrayal trauma group that you're over, is there a curriculum? Is it just kind of open discussion? Like what if I'm brand new to a group, what can I expect?
Okay, that's a great question. So it's structured in the sense of there are evidence-based principles that help support recovery for betrayal trauma. So I very much am always referencing those. It's going to be things like, how do we have boundaries, right? How do we have self-care? How do we learn to share ourselves in ways that are self-supportive? I mean, we could go on and on here, but they're all things that will support a person to recover from betrayal trauma the best they can.
Okay.
Within that structure, there's flexibility. Like one thing I want to do in the group is I'm reading the group, right? If someone is bringing an issue up, we spend some time on that because I know if one person has a question about that or is experiencing that, chances are someone else in the group is too. So it's like this live back and forth of me reading the group, bringing in the research and information, but helping the group to have an experience together that's healing.
That makes so much sense. That you're reading the group and the goal is, again, a healing experience for everybody. So how does, like practically speaking, you're discussing things and then everyone's contributing, everyone's talking about it. Like, I mean, I would imagine it could be challenging, either no one's talking or everyone's trying to talk, or I don't know. I'm just curious what that dynamic is like. And maybe it's different with every group.
Yeah. I mean, I know in my group, we kind of have a structure where we talk about that, right? When do we unmute our microphones? When do we mute them, right? If we want to share, how do we do that? So it's pretty structured, and we actually talk about group norms a lot. We talk about when a new member joins, how to welcome them in. When you're considering terminating group or finishing group, how to exit group, right? We talk about how to have conversations outside of group. We talk about what group confidentiality looks like. One of the things that's been really powerful in the group that I run is we start every time with a journal prompt. And these prompts have just been so helpful. I've had such good feedback. It really centers the conversation. It allows people to kind of join and get into the group. And it does what I call primes the nervous system, right? So the question this week was, what would it be like if you were to share even 5% more of your inside self with the group? And so they wrote about that before we ever talked about it. And then we opened it up to sharing, and it was crickets. So we had a few minutes, and that doesn't bother me. That's very normal. And we just wait, and the group knows everybody's comfortable with silence until one person said, I'd like to share. And so then we had a group member share what she had written about what it would be like for her to even consider sharing 5% more of herself with the group. And then another group member chimed in and it really met her there and just said, I am so glad you said that. That is almost exactly what I wrote. So then we had a little bit of back and forth, right? And so we do that journal. Then we'll usually have a little bit of psychoeducation, right? This week we were talking about what does it mean to share yourself after you've been through betrayal? That's scary. Sometimes our sense of self is shattered. Sometimes we don't even know what reality is anymore. And so we brought in a little bit of the research around that. And then we separated into some breakout rooms because small group connection is really healing for the nervous system. And someone who's a little struggling to open up or share in group, they do better in a group of 2 or 3 than a group of 10. So we separated into those groups. Then we came back together, and we always do a checkout. What's something you're going to take with you this week? What's something you appreciated in another group member? What's something you wish for another group member? And we have this beautiful kind of closing ceremony, as it were. And then we wish each other well, and we come back the next week and do it again, but a little different.
I love that. That's helpful to understand that it's not just everyone's talking and just kind of dumping all their stuff on each other, but there's really a lot of structure to it.
Yes.
And I love that idea of the journal prompts to kind of create some safety, and everyone can go, okay, and some reflection as well.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing. So one thing you said at the beginning of that was group confidentiality. I think that's a big concern for people. So how do I know, if I'm interested in going to group, how do I know that my story is not going to be shared and that someone's not going to post it? I mean, that's a lot of trust I'm putting in just perfect strangers.
It totally is. And the one thing I say about that is, like, we can't enforce group confidentiality right outside. Like, there's not a way to do that. But boy, we teach the power of it and the necessity of it. And that the expectation is that what happens in group and what is shared in group stays in group, because that is the only way to build safety. Right. So we absolutely stress and teach that. And I review those group norms and rules every once in a while, just because it's easy to forget.
Yep. I like that. And that we keep going back to it, but and that everybody gets to choose, right? But
That's right.
These are the group rules. And it sounds like you have rules that kind of help keep the guidelines of the group cohesive and that everybody feels safe.
Absolutely. A big one is when we get a group of women together, especially, we naturally are fixers, right? We have so many roles that fixing is part of that.
Yes.
And so we talk a lot in group about what is it like to not rescue somebody in their feelings, to not have to fix. And when that happens, we kind of shine a light on that. What was it like there? Did anybody have any fixer parts come up and just want to take away that person's pain? And again, we practice, how do we just meet that person? Just sit with them in their pain. So I see that one come up a lot. And at this point, the group can kind of laugh about it a little bit and they acknowledge it. And then they take that and they go into their other relationships outside a group. And they've already practiced what it's like to be with someone in their pain without fixing it. Much more easy to do outside of group when you've practiced in group.
Amen. I think we're not good at that in general. Sitting with people in their pain, right?
Yeah.
And just allowing the pain and the discomfort to be there and not trying to solve or fix it, but you're getting firsthand experience in group work.
Yeah.
Excellent. I love that reminder and that you're allowing that space, but also receiving it as well, right? From other people and that relationship. So important. So I'm interested in hearing about, your group is betrayal trauma. So they've all had an experience that's similar, but also very different experiences, right? It's like we can all have the same experience, but the way we experience it is very different. So I'm curious about that. When it shows up that people are saying, no, like this is what happened, and you have a group member that's saying, yeah, but I'm okay with that, and I'm not okay with that. And like they have a very similar shared experience, but their own individual experiences are different. Does it ever get uncomfortable, disrespectful? That like, no, you should think this way, or why aren't you better now? It's been this long. Or I'm just curious about any of those challenges that might come up in group.
No, that's a great question. I mean, I haven't seen that as much. Most people, I think what I teach is that the variety and diversity in group makes a group stronger, right? So we love having people in the group. Some are staying with their partners. Some are undecided. Some are getting divorced. Some are post-divorced. That actually makes a group stronger because we don't all have to be the same to be living principles of recovery. And I want everyone to know that, right? That living principles of recovery is across different relationships. That can happen whether you're divorcing, whether you're staying, whether you're undecided. So we teach the principles that invite healing regardless of the situation. But when something maybe does come up, it's common, like maybe there's a little tension in group, right? Maybe there's a little strife or a little being misunderstood. That is the work, right? Let us learn and practice because our relationships outside of group, they are not smooth all the time. There are ruptures.
They are not usually smooth,
They're
right?
not. And so group is such a normal, like a little microcosm of life. And we can stop and slow it down as a facilitator. Like I'm reading faces and body language in there and going like, I'm just curious, asking a group member, that seemed like that landed hard. Can you tell me what that was like for you? And if you can get someone to say, that was really hard, it kind of hurt my feelings, or I took it personally when she said that, right? And we can kind of model and work through that together. That is just so helpful outside of group. That's relational healing. And you've got a coach there and a safe space to do it in.
So congratulations, right?
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think that. And when I hear that too, it's not like you're pointing it out like, oh, I noticed this and you didn't show up this way, but you're asking with compassion, like compassionate curiosity. I love that term. What was that like for you? It seemed like this. What was that like? And they have a chance to, explain in a safe environment what that might have been like. I love that. So are there any other benefits to group therapy that we haven't covered?
Another thing I love about, I'm sure there are, but like it's so consistent. Group therapy is every week, same time, same place, online as it were in this case. That's healing to the nervous system, right? I don't have to worry about making an appointment. I don't have to, think about scheduling. I'm showing up with the same people, the same facilitator, a similar format, really stabilizing to the nervous system. I really like that for my clients for that reason.
Consistency.
It's just consistent.
Yep. Absolutely. And that matters, right?
Yeah.
And the number of people in the group might change. Is that right? And
yes.
Okay.
And that's good. And we talk about that because when people leave, all of a sudden everybody's nervous system kind of gets a little activated, right? Those were my people. What's it going to be like? And that's another part of the work that we do, because relationships outside of group have beginnings and endings. People move away. Someone changes a job. Let's work together. What does that feel like? We can voice that out loud and work through the hurt of that or the heart of that.
Yeah. And as you're saying that, I keep thinking, when you're in a group, there's so many dynamics that come up, right? I just got back from a girls' trip we went on a ski trip. And, we didn't need a group therapist, but I'm like, we could have used some of that reflecting and observing and kind of awareness of what was going on in the dynamics that were happening. I mean, there's a lot of dynamics that happen in a group, and again, a reflection of yourself in a group, right? It's super important. So I love that it's an opportunity for that, an opportunity for consistency and then reflection of yourself. Are there any other things that you think we need to discuss, or that you thought, no, make sure to ask this question? I want to make sure that we're not leaving any questions that you're burning to talk about.
I mean, I think I want to say that for those clients who are working through betrayal trauma, especially, right? A group is indispensable. When I look at and I think about the healing that happens for a client who is in group as well as individual therapy, it's just a whole different road. I was working with a client recently she's preparing for a therapeutic disclosure, and we'd work to get her
tell our listeners what that is.
Okay. So a therapeutic disclosure is when there has been betrayal, right, in a partnership. It's a facilitated discussion with therapists and a prepared document for the person who has betrayed the other spouse to come and say, I'm going to be honest and open and transparent. And the spouse who's been betrayed is prepared to listen to that so they can make decisions about their future. Okay, so we do that all the time here. It's actually a very helpful, very research-based therapy, and I highly recommend it if anyone's in need of that. But part of preparing someone who's been betrayed for a therapeutic disclosure is having a safety plan, meaning you're going to go to this appointment and hear this information that might be hard, right? And have a lot of information that you don't know could be. We want you to have a safety plan. And as I've worked with this client in preparing her safety plan, part of her safety plan, I didn't know she'd put this in, but she's going to let her group know the day that she's going to have her therapeutic disclosure, and they're part of her safety plan. She has enough connection and cohesion in that group that she has people she can reach out to who've been on the path before her who are going to support her through her disclosure. And I just thought,
it's amazing.
It is amazing. Like she can't go to all of her girlfriends with that same level of understanding as people who've been through it before her.
Yeah. And to have that's part of her safety plan after, that she can call on these people and these women to support her. That's pretty incredible.
Yes.
I love that. So we know that at Therapy Utah, it's an open group. You can join at any time.
Yes.
It's online, I think I heard you say. Okay.
Yep. So right now our betrayal trauma group is Mondays at 9:30 to 11 a.m. every single Monday.
Okay.
And you can sign up on our website. It's $225 a month. You get weekly therapy for that. It's a great deal.
Good bang for your buck right there.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. So that was my next thing, cost and then duration. So how long can I know you said people can come and go.
Yes.
But is there this is the best amount of time, or this is the time that we recommend is most helpful?
I recommend 12 to 18 months. I anticipate that. That's when I've seen the most, like, really people get in, develop the relationships. We get through, there's not like a curriculum, but we really cover and then can recover those principles that support recovery. I have some group members who stay in it for longer than that because they just enjoy having that time set aside to focus on their mental health and their recovery. And they come every week ready to learn, and they take away something new almost every time, something helpful. It's not new and shiny, but they think about it in a different way.
I love that. So 12 to 18 months is really the ideal.
Yes.
Okay. And that you can go longer than that. Yes. Certainly. I'm sure there's people that don't go that long.
That's
either.
Right. That's right. And you can come and try it and see if it's a good fit for you. When I say that, what I always recommend is that it takes a few weeks, I would say 2 months, before maybe you really feel that integration of being part of the group. So I hate for people to just say, I'm going to try it for a week and see how it feels. It's not going to feel good in a week.
No, because it's going to be uncomfortable.
It's going to be uncomfortable, right? So that's part of the growth and the work. So give it a whirl, but stay for a minute.
Yeah. Make sure and give yourself enough time
Yes.
to really get comfortable.
Yes.
Start. And again, I think when we give ourselves that time, then we can hear other stories. We start to feel safe, and then then it can happen.
Yeah.
The magic can happen. That's wonderful.
One more thing I just want to say, I think every person I've had join group has told me that they were scared to death before they joined. So if that is a listener, I hope they know that they're normal and join anyway.
Yeah. Do it scared.
Do it scared.
Yeah, do it anyway, because everyone feels that way. I love that you said almost everybody, right? Like everybody has felt nervous. Yeah, I can't tell you how many clients I've had that have done group, and I've never had anyone that has had a bad experience. It's in fact been the opposite. It has been so beneficial. And like you said, connection and healing happens in a group. It does. We're wired for connection. We're meant to do that with each other. So I love that reminder. And, I do believe that it's not just what you're getting from the group, it's also what you're giving. And so a group allows you to do both that giving, and we're sitting with people, but then we're getting that same thing from people. And that's where that group magic also happens.
Totally. It's very healing and part of recovery to give back in that way.
Yeah, I love that. I thank you so much, Kelly, for this. I think this is such an important conversation. And again, it's a little bit like family therapy, that group therapy is there, but you don't hear about it as much. We don't talk about it as much, but that it's another type of therapy that's really beneficial. Therapy Utah has a long history of great groups, and you're continuing that with the women's space. So that's wonderful. The truth is, listeners, you do not have to go through this alone. And whether group therapy or individual therapy is right for you is up to you. But I hope this discussion today gave you some insights about group therapy and what can be beneficial. And Kelly, I really appreciate your insights. You're a master group therapist. I know you are, and I know that you've done some amazing work with groups. And so it was a pleasure to have you on and talk about that. And I would just hope our listeners would really consider if group therapy would be something that might be a fit for them, because it can be so beneficial. And if this is something that you are interested in, please call Therapy Utah. There's openings, is that correct?
Yep. Yes, and all of our groups are listed currently on our website. So the best place to check that out is at therapyutah.org.
Okay, perfect. So go to that website, therapyutah.org, and you can inquire there or also call our office. And we are grateful for you listening. Thank you for joining us. If this felt helpful for you or someone you love, please like and subscribe and share it. And until next time, take care. That's a wrap for today on the Therapist Question Box. I'm Lindsay Schiss. Thanks for listening. And remember, every question you ask is an opportunity to learn and grow. Brought to you by Therapy Utah.
Hey, this is Kathy Kinghorn. I'm an owner at Therapy Utah. If you'd like to book with one of our trauma-trained therapists, go to www.therapyutah.org. Thanks for listening.